And one thing I would say is, because I've also been doing this job about 10 years, and I would make a lot of the same observations that we've just heard, that in some ways we've made a lot of progress. In other ways, it feels like we're still trying to push from a kind of an early starting point. But I've seen the world of, as I used to describe it, my team is called Traffic and Technology, and I described it as two circles that need to overlap, and gradually they are basically now one circle, because I think across the range of things we do, there isn't a part of it that doesn't have technology involved in, whether it's data, digital, or actual kind of hardware technology that sits on the side of the road. And one observation I would make is that there's very little of that technology that you would describe as cutting edge, as in leading edge, as in new, like no one's ever seen it before. It's out there. The UK has been good at this stuff for decades. And I think one of the opportunities of the World Congress, which I'll come back to, is an opportunity really to make our mark and stamp our authority on the international stage to show people what we can do, because we all know it, because this has always been the challenge, I think, that everyone in this room knows it and feels confident about it. So we need to make sure that everyone else knows it as well, and we get the full economic benefits of that. And that's something that there are certain things that government is good at, certain things that they're not so good at. We can invest, we have the power to invest, we have the power to regulate, and that is a very important part of the message we were just hearing, that the right sort of regulation in the right places is really important. If there was one thing that technology could do, it would be increase the bandwidth and capacity of Parliament, because there is only so much of that. So the desire to regulate is often not matched by the ability to regulate. And that's not because we're sort of dyed-in-the-wool regulators, it's because there are certain things we need to do, but government's a very big beast, and therefore we have to take our place in the queue. Speaking as a person who's been leading on micromobility policy since 2018, I say that with real passion. But does the department do a good job? Well, you can decide that. But I think we have done a lot. We have built national digital services that didn't exist when I started in this job. We're building new ones. So Max mentioned the digitising of TROs, the traffic regulation orders, which on one level is the most boring thing you could ever imagine having a conversation about, but is a foundational, fundamental layer of how the rules of the road work, and which an automated vehicle is going to need to understand. So it's so basic, you think, well, you should have done that 20 years ago. The opportunity wasn't there. The opportunity is there now. We've got legislation, we are building the technological means to do it, and then we will start to tick off our long list of, a shopping list of things that we really want to do. And then the smart thing is we will start to think about how we bring them together, how we integrate them, so they're not just a series of flashy sounding digital services, they're actually an integrated whole. And that again comes back to the new minister's priorities for an integrated transport strategy. What is the whole picture looking like? Because most people don't set out to use transport, they set out to go somewhere, and that means making a multimodal journey of some kind. Putting our money where our mouth is important. One way we've done that is try to be a good friend to ITS UK. I mean, my team is the home point, the docking station for ITS UK in the department, and we're very pleased and proud of that, and we're very keen to work with Max and his colleagues and all of you to make the most of that. We also use the Transport Technology Forum, which is a thing that we've set up again to facilitate making sure that particularly local government and private industry talk to each other, because the government doesn't own local roads, we don't run local roads, but what we can do is enable and facilitate the means to allow local authorities to do their jobs well and deliver good services and good infrastructure to people. So that's where we've invested our time and money, is trying to make the power of convening. That's one thing that government can do. We can bring people together, and we can hopefully encourage a more systematic, consistent approach to using technology to deliver better outcomes. And that brings me to my kind of final point, which is kind of why we're here, is that a really big opportunity on the international stage, but also on the domestic stage, also as a way of bringing together and crystallising what we all think in the UK about technology, particularly in my world in a roads context, but more broadly, is the opportunity that the World Congress offers. My team has been attending every World Congress, certainly since I started in this job, except in China last year. I couldn't make it to China. So everyone that's been there, we've been there because it's important that the UK has a footprint, and I think they welcome us because they realise that the UK has an incredibly good track record here. So visiting them, going there, making a fanfare, that's great, but it's not as good as hosting it, because when you run the show, then you really have the opportunity. So as soon as the opportunity arose, we were very quick to jump on it. We realised that in order to deliver it, government has to do more than just say that's a good idea and put out a press notice. It has to put its money where its mouth is, so we did that. So the government, and I mean the government now, ministers now, are committed to doing this. They want to support it. So they're absolutely delighted, to, I'm sure, to have arrived just at the moment where the deal's going to be done and we're going to be able to talk about it publicly. And in 10 days' time, Darren and I and a few others, and I imagine plenty of people in the room, will be in Dubai, and we will be spending a lot of time talking about the West Midlands and making sure that people know that when they come in 2027, it's going to be the best show in town.